You hired a vendor for your event, and now you're staring at an invoice that looks like it was written in a foreign language by someone who hates you. Don't panic, you're not alone, and this happens to basically every first-time host on the planet. Here's the thing nobody tells you before you plan an event. Vendors and hosts are basically speaking two different dialects of the same language called money. One side thinks everything is obvious, and the other side thinks everything is a surprise, and somehow both of them are right. Let's start with the word deposit because it is doing a lot of heavy lifting and most people misread its job description. A deposit is not a down payment toward a lower total. It's your vendor holding your date hostage in the nicest possible way, and that amount is usually non-refundable the moment you sign. Now here comes the twist that makes hosts gasp at the final bill. The original quote and the final invoice are almost never the same number. You added extra guests, changed the color of the napkins 3 times, and asked for a gluten-free vegan option at the last minute. All of that has a price tag, my friend. Line items are your best friend if you actually read them, and your worst enemy if you treat them like terms and conditions on an app you just downloaded. Every charge on that invoice has a reason, and vendors are not just adding random fees for fun. Well, most of them aren't. One of the most misunderstood charges is the service fee, which sounds like a polite fake charge but is actually covering coordination, communication, and all those emails you sent at 11 p.m. asking the same question 4 different ways. Think of it as the "please keep responding to me" tax that you accidentally agreed to. Then there's the setup and breakdown fee, which hosts routinely forget exists because they never see it happen. You arrive when everything looks perfect and leave before anyone starts folding tables. But someone hauled in those tables, arranged those chairs, and is going to take it all apart at midnight while you're home in bed, and that someone is charging you for it. Gratuity is another area where hosts get genuinely confused because some invoices include it automatically and some don't, and guessing wrong in either direction is awkward for everyone involved. Always ask up front whether gratuity is baked into the total or whether it's expected on top, because surprising your florist with 0 tip is not the vibe you want to send into the universe. Overtime fees are basically the horror movie villain of vendor invoices. They're quiet the whole time and then show up right at the end. If your event runs 30 minutes long because your cousin's toast turned into a TED Talk, you could be looking at a charge of $100 to $300 per hour, depending on your contract. One thing that genuinely helps is asking vendors to send you an itemized quote before you sign anything, not just a flat total that says event services, $2,000. When you see each line broken out, you can ask questions, understand the value, and avoid that moment where you open the final invoice and whisper, "Where did this come from?" Contracts and invoices are actually 2 different documents, and mixing them up causes a surprising amount of chaos. The contract is the promise, the invoice is the bill, and if something on the invoice doesn't match the contract, that is absolutely a conversation you are allowed to have before handing over any money. Some vendors also charge a travel fee if they have to come more than a certain distance, which rarely gets mentioned in the initial pitch because nobody leads with the boring stuff. Ask your vendors about travel, parking, and load-in access early, because a parking ticket or a freight elevator fee can show up on your bill and feel completely out of nowhere. The real lesson here is that clarity is a 2-way street. Hosts should ask more questions and vendors should explain more proactively, but since you're the one with money on the line, the burden of curiosity kind of falls on you. Reading every line of an invoice before your event, not after, is the single most powerful habit you can build as a host. At the end of the day, vendor invoices aren't designed to trick you. They're just detailed documents written by people who spend their whole lives in a world you only visit a few times a year. Give yourself some grace, give your vendor a call when something looks confusing, and remember that the goal is a great event, not a perfect invoice. If you want to learn more about how our company helps hosts and vendors get on the same page before, during, and after events, go check out the links in the description. We'd love to show you what clarity actually looks like.